right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharakhakwadash, which Yahweh, that's the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, that's whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, it's his true name, and the Rakhakwadash, that is the Holy Spirit. And I would like to also give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you brothers out there. And I just want to get into a quick lesson. As you see in the title, that we have the greatest purpose ever. And what inspired this was a young brother in our camp. He's young in the faith, and he's also young in age. And he was just asking us brothers in Chicago to pray for him because he was low in the spirit. He felt very useless, and he was just down, right? And sometimes you get like that. Okay. All right. You sometimes feel stagnant in your life, right? You're not getting XYZ jobs that you're applying for. You feel like you're just making the same videos over and over again. You don't really feel like you're progressing in anything. But look, in all reality, you really are. Okay. It's those little things that you do every day that eventually lead you to great success. Okay. It's like, a fighter, somebody that, body builds, an artist, so on and so forth. They do the little things every day. And then over time, they become great, at their skill. You see? And that's the same with us, spiritually speaking. Okay? We do a little thing here and there, right, in our lives. And as time, goes on, you'll see the progress. You'll see the change in yourself. Okay? And look, at the end of the day, we have the greatest purpose ever. Look, we serve Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay? You see? We're the ambassadors of Yahushai. Meaning representatives. We're the heralds. We're telling this entire world, look, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords is coming. This system that we're in, this kingdom that we're in is going to fall. Okay? And look, the kingdom of heaven is coming. That's the greatest job ever. All these things that you deal with on your day-to-day, walk, right? It's very, useless, okay, so to speak. Look, you go into that job, it is what it is. You got to deal with slavery. You got to deal with, the situation the Lord puts you in. But that's not who you really are. You're not that, employee. Look, you're not that business owner. You're not that father. Okay? So on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? You're not that husband. That's not, that's maybe a part of you, but that's not who you're who you really are. Hey, you're a prophet of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay? You're a man of the Lord. And see, right now to this world, it doesn't seem like anything. Okay? It doesn't seem like there's a benefit to being a man of the Lord. But as we're seeing time go by, our stocks are spiritually going up more and more and more. Okay? Because the things that we've been saying for how many years are happening in real time right now. We've been telling people that martial law is going to come. People always laughed. They giggled. They thought it was funny. They mocked us. They laughed at us. But now, look what's happening, especially here in Chicago. You got ICE agents just detaining people left and right. The National Guard's coming. And it's going to keep spreading, okay? happened out in D.C. Look, hey, like how Trump said, we're going to Memphis. We're going to the Bay Area, right? New York City. It's just going to keep escalating. We've been telling you people that there's going to be a shutdown, okay? I'll say this, a lack of jobs. Excuse me, I'll say it like that. A lack of jobs. We've been saying that for years. The scriptures say what? There's going to be no more work in Egypt. We've been saying this, week after week, day after day. People laughed at us, but now we're at a point where people are barely making ends meet. You see? We've been telling people that World War III is going to happen. We've been saying the ones that are going to cause all of it are the ones in the state of Israel. We've been saying that for the longest. And now look what's happening. The whole world is getting dragged into World War III. Okay? You see? So the reason why I'm saying all this is for you brothers out there who are low in the spirit, who feel like, you're not really, doing too much in this truth. Hey, you're doing a lot. Like I said, you're preaching Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You're preaching the kingdom of heaven that's, that's about to, be here. But as we know, before, the kingdom of heaven comes, there has to be a great destruction, okay? Which is this system, all right? Babylon the Great, it must fall, which is America. You see? The Edomite power structure, the so-called white man power structure must fall first, okay? But let me get this. Let's get some scriptures now. This is 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. Remember, you're a priest. And a priest has a very heavy duty. That's something that's not low level. All right? Look, because it says in the book of Ezekiel, I believe the 44th chapter, it talks about how the priests, they're to do what? Tell the people, what's right, what's wrong, what's holy, what's profane. That's a heavy office right there. You're telling your people how to serve the Lord properly. Because look, you to these churches, they don't tell you, what the Lord hates, what the Lord loves. They tell you you can do whatever you want. It's a free-for-all. It's a Royal Rumble in there. You can eat pork. You can commit adultery. You can commit idolatry. You can be a homosexual. Whatever the case may be. It's cool in the church. As long as you go to church Sunday, put on your Sunday's finest, okay? Pay your tithes. Now everything's cool. You're going to be forgiven. No, that's not the case. In order to be forgiven, all right, you have to actually change. Which, if you're in this truth, that's what you're doing. Okay? You're becoming that new man, that new creature, as the scriptures say. All right? That's heavy. Because look, the rest of the world, they're still on the same BS. They're still doing the same old. Business as usual. Okay? It's a whole, cycle, right? We're in the month of October. These people are about to go to all these different parties. Mind you, the demonic parties. They're about to get into some heavy rituals because of so-called Halloween. A bunch of orgies. You got people who are actually going to start sacrificing kids, during this time period, children. It's a lot of demonic activities that happen during the month of October. That's what's happening. Okay? Then after that, what do you got? November. You got Thanksgiving celebration, which celebrates the downfall of the Native American tribes, right? The Gadites and the Reubenites. You see what I'm saying? It's a whole cycle. Then after that is what? Christmas. All right? It's the same thing. Over and over and over again. But look at what you're doing. You're resisting temptation. You're fighting. You're changing. You're improving. You see? And that's a lot. That's a lot. And look, remember, the scriptures say this: the Lord's not going to forget your works and labor of love. Everything that you do on a day-to-day basis, the Lord is making account of these things. All right? He's making an account of it. And best believe, hey, you're going to get repaid greatly for these things, okay? All right? But let me keep reading. This is 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, and it reads, "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." All right? And we're showing his, what does it say? We're showing, we're showing this whole world, you know, what the gospel is really saying, what's really written in it. All right? The Lord took us out of this gross darkness. Hey, we've entered into this marvelous light. You know? And that's a heavy thing. And now we're out there proclaiming, all right, this gospel. And let me get that real quick. You know? Let me see if this is it. What is that? Oh, I think it's Isaiah. What is it? Say 57? Give me 1 second. I don't know why I can't. Here we go. This is what I want. This is Isaiah 61, verse 1. "The Spirit of the Lord Yahweh is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek." They did, like I said, we got the greatest purpose here. The Lord literally woke you up to teach this word. That is not a light thing. That's a very, very heavy task. And not everybody can do it. That's why there's 144,000 men, right? It speaks on that in Revelation, the 14th chapter. You know, also, what is that? Revelation, the 7th chapter. You know, it speaks about the 144,000. These are the Lord's top tier men. And you might possibly be one of those top tier men. Okay? That's no joke. Hey, the true living power sees you as something very, very, very special. Who cares what this world thinks of you? Who cares what you're doing in this world? Okay? It's nothing. This world is crumbling. You know? Don't let this day-to-day BS, bring you down. Don't let it distract you. And you got to remember, too, I got to say this. You might, be watching these people and, they got, so-called things of this world. They look so-called happy, right? They're having a good time. In reality, these people are depressed, stressed, angry. They're scared. They have no hope. They're lost, confused. You see? These people are through. The scriptures talk about what a sound mind. We got that. We got a sound mind. Look, these people out here are smitten with madness, right? They're blinded, by this this light that Esau has put out there. You know what I'm saying? Okay? They're blinded by the smoke and mirrors. The American dream, because that's all it is. It's a dream. It's not reality. All right? See, we're not, our minds have been purified now. It's been washed. It's been cleansed. And now we see what, this world's really about. We see what it really is, And that's a beautiful thing. That's why you got to pray. Keep praising the Lord, because you can be caught up in this madness too. Okay? If you weren't in this truth. Okay? Let me keep reading. It says, I'm going to read it again. Isaiah 61:1. The Spirit of the Lord Yahweh is upon me, because the Lord Yahweh hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord Yahweh, and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord Yahweh, and he might be glorified. And they shall build the old waste, they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolation of many generations. And that's what we're doing. The scriptures say it also in Isaiah that what? We're the repairer of the breaches. Look, our people have been destroyed. You know, the tabernacles of David have fallen, right? That's what it says in the scriptures, you know? And right now, hey, the house of David is being rebuilt. This is a serious job that we're doing. The greatest thing ever. Because look, man, you go into the world, right? You know, I'll say that some brothers have talent, right? What? You go dunk a basketball? You know what? You go make some beats so that, you know, somebody can, use it in their music. You got some jakes that are, architects, some jakes that were hustlers, some jakes might have been in the church, right? Could have even been a pastor, a so-called pastor themselves. Look, all that stuff is unprofitable at the end of the day, you know? At the end of the day, when you push these things, right, you're forwarding another man's kingdom. You're forwarding his agenda. You're not profiting off of that. Yeah, you make a little bit of money off of your said skill. You know, that's correct. But look, at the end of the day, your people are still at the lowest part of the totem pole, okay? You're still dealing with these curses, all right? Hey, look at Crawford. Hey, look at the boxer Crawford. You know, he just won, over Canelo, right? He became the new champ. Not even a week later, this man's getting pulled over, I believe, by the Oakland City Police, right? And getting, harassed, getting detained, whatever the situation, occurred from that. You know? And it just shows you that it doesn't matter your status in this, world. You're still considered a nigger. You're still considered a spick, a wetback, a tonto. Whatever these, these degrading words that they call us. You know what I'm saying? As the scriptures say, what? These bywords. You see? You're still, having an unruly woman. Children that can be a homosexual, a whore. This is the reality of things, But see, what we're doing, we're getting our people ready for the Lord's coming. All right? Hey, the scriptures talk about how we're the brides of Yahweh Shai. He's the bridegroom. Right? We're getting ourselves ready, And look, brides, they go through during a wedding. They deal with more of a process than the actual bridegroom. A bridegroom, he gets ready, doesn't take him too long, and he's basically sitting down, relaxing, maybe just talking to his pops, his brothers, maybe a couple good friends, and they're just chilling and waiting. Hey, these women, they got to get their hair done, nails done. They're trying to get their makeup right, get the dress, on point. See what I'm saying? That's what we're doing right now, spiritually speaking. We're trying to get ourselves together so when the Lord comes back, hey, he finds us acceptable. All right? So like I said, hey, this job that we're doing, it's not to be taken lightly, and it's not a low-level thing. This is the greatest thing ever. Okay? But let me get this. I think it's Romans, the 8th chapter. Well, let me see if there's any... Oh, come on, man. Let me see one thing real quick. I want to see if there's anything else in that Isaiah. Hey, you know what? Let me keep reading. This is Isaiah 61:5 now. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But ye shall be named the priest of the Lord Yahweh. Men shall call you the ministers of our power. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. All right, so that's what the Lord is making us, you know, that royal priesthood. Like I said, that's a top tier job according to the Lord, you know, that's a top tier job. We're not going to be at a low level, you know, doing slave work anymore. Okay, we're not going to be doing construction, agriculture, you know, landscaping, you know, so on and so forth, whatever it may be. We're not doing that anymore. When the kingdom comes, no. All right? And these are just the beginning stages of it. And see, to this world, it looks crazy. It's far-fetched. It's unprofitable, you know, because, you know, everyone believes that you should be getting something out of it, right? And I'm what I mean by that is, you know, money, right? You should be getting some type of income. See, since we don't get, you know, the carnal income, so to speak, people think this is a waste of time. Why do it? What's the point? Hey, the point is, we're going to have, first and foremost, we're going to receive salvation. That's you really got to think about it. Salvation. The things that are coming to this world, if you don't have divine intervention, you're going to die terribly. We like to mention it out here in Chicago all the time. Look, people are going to be starving to death. People are going to be being eaten alive to death. People are going to get raped to death. People are going to die of all these different diseases. Okay? So on and so forth. And then if you somehow survive all these different things, there's going to be a missile, thermonuclear missiles coming down, and it's going to destroy this place. You are going to get cooked alive. And who knows how long the Lord is going to make that process feel. Okay? So I'm trying to avoid that. And those who are like-minded and who are wise, they're trying to, you know, please the Lord so they don't have to experience what's about to hit this place. Okay? So that's first and foremost. That's why we want this, you know, we want to do this. And you should really be sorrowful. You should just feel like, really, you know, like shit that you've been messing up, you know? But I'll say this, added unto you, since we're seeking the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? Which starts with what? Wisdom. And what's wisdom? The fear of the Lord. And if you fear the Lord, what are you going to do? You're going to take heed to what he likes and what he dislikes. And you're going to try to, you know, please the Lord to the best of your ability. Okay? All right? So point being is, look, the scriptures say what? As I just said, seek the kingdom of heaven first, and all these things shall be added unto you. And what else is going to be added unto us? We're going to have power, which means we're going to have what? Slaves. We're going to have land. We're going to have resources. We're going to have women. We're going to have all these things. Okay? All the precious metals and stones in the world. The finest garments. The best of the best, basically. You see? That's what's coming, you know, afterwards. But even, you know what's crazy? Even before that, like I always like to say, you got what? The salvation, which leads to what? Glorification. Okay? Or actually, first, before the glorification is what? The transformation. You're going to get a whole new body where you're basically going to be like a Superman, for lack of words. Actually, you're going to have the extraterrestrial bodies where you're going to be able to deal with both the spirit realm and the earthly realm. Okay? And that's something that's, that's very complex to even think about, But that's what's coming. Then with the transformation, we're going to get what? The glorification, Then dominion. Power. This is what's coming. And you should be fighting for that. Not this BS in this world. You even got people who are the greatest of the greats, right? They don't care about their achievements. Mike Tyson said that not too long ago. It was a couple of years back. Now, he had an interview with someone. And the interviewer asked him, oh, mind you, they had all his championship belts on a table. Big round table. And the interviewer asked him, what does this mean to you? All these, belts and, the achievements that you've made throughout your life. And he, grabbed one of the belts. He was looking at them all. Kind of like tossed the one belt to the side. And he said, this means absolutely nothing. He's like, my family is what's important now. And he's just, speaking on the carnal thing, his family, right? But point being, he said all the things that he accomplished didn't mean anything. Because at the end of the day, they're what? Corruptible crowns. They're corruptible crowns. You see? And what we're fighting for is what? An incorruptible crown, as the scriptures talk about. You see? And why would you even want to fight for these, corruptible things that's given by your enemy, the devil himself, Esau, Edom? The ones that put you in hardcore slavery, all your people in hardcore slavery, that have done, the most inhumane and heinous crimes, to us. But why would you want to, accept anything from him? That's madness, man. You see? Complete madness. All right? So, J.G., get out of this world. Get your mind out of this world. But let me get this real quick. This is the book of Romans. I'm going to get chapter 8. I think it's about like 30. Yeah, we'll get this. This is Romans 8. Man. I'll start at 28. This is Romans 8 and 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are the called according to his purpose. And remember, hey, this is the Lord's purpose. He's the one that set you up where you're at for a reason. Hey, this is not something that's, what's the word? That's a lot. Yeah, I got distracted. This is something that was done by design by the Lord. Okay? Hey, you're where you're at because the Lord put you there. You see? All right? Hey, and if the Lord made you, a preacher, a teacher, a prophet, that's what you're going to be. Okay? And like I said, it's not a light job. This is the most important thing ever. You see? Let me keep reading. It says, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. And you got to remember, this is all about predestination. The Lord set this all up. This is his show. This is his movie. He picked out his 144,000 characters, right, to be prophets. His top tier men. And that's not a light thing. And he knows, who he's called. He knows who his chosen are. Okay? And it says, and whom he called, them he also justified. Which that's heavy. So you're going to be justified. No matter what anybody says in this world, you're going to be justified if you're a part of the elect. You see? Hey, they can say this and that and this about you. But look, if the Lord gives you the pass, you got the pass, baby. All right? And it says this. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. And hey, that's what's coming. I just mentioned it earlier. Okay? What shall we then say to these things? If the Most High be for us, who can be against us? Exactly. Who can be against us if the Most High is with us? You see? It says, he that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything to the charge of the Most High's elect? It is the Most High Yahweh that justifieth. Okay? You see? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is the one that's going to justify you. And then exalt you. Alright? And what's wild is this is not even the scripture that I wanted, but the Spirit wanted it to come out anyways. Just to show you the seriousness of your calling. The Lord doesn't look at you as just some regular man. Look, I'll say this. If these people in the world saw, first and foremost, Yahweh Shai, right? 2,000 years ago, they would be scoffing him, mocking him. Hey, these are the same people that put him to death. They didn't think he was the son of the Most High. They didn't want to listen. And he was, mind you, he was doing miracles in the flesh. And people still didn't believe. Look at John the Baptist. If they saw John the Baptist today, they would just think he's a homeless crazy man. Straight up. They would think he's homeless and he's out of his mind. Okay? Because remember, John the Baptist was in the desert just eating basically, honey and locusts. That's it. Out there just preaching. That's what his mission was. But to these people, they would be like, what was the point of that? He's crazy for doing these things. You see? All right? That's what they would be saying. The hell with these people, man. All right? But let me get this. People got demons on them, man. All of a sudden, you just got cops rolling by, trying to check me out. Like, what the hell? You can't even get any peace in this kingdom at all. You're just trying to walk around and do a lesson, and you got, you're getting harassed by cops. Just literally going up and down the street, in the neighborhood. Mind you, it's all lit up. The main part of the town that I live in, and the guy's gonna roll past me real slow. The hell with these goddamn devils, man. Shit gets irritating after a while, though. But this is Romans chapter 10. I started I'll start at 8. It says, but what saith it? The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, and shalt believe in thy heart that Yahweh hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart of man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. That's beautiful. The more you confess, the closer salvation is. Okay? Getting out of this goddamn predicament that we're in. That's why the apostles, keep pushing. That's why they encourage brothers to keep making videos, keep going out there and teaching, keep teaching, keep pushing, keep preaching. And this word is bringing down Babylon. Hey, it reminds me of hey, when we were chanting around Jericho, right? Hey, the walls of Jericho fell, just by a sound, just by what we were doing, like I said, the chanting. That's what we're doing spiritually right now. And you're seeing this place crumble. You're seeing Babylon the Great falling. This whole world falling apart. And that's because we keep preaching this word. This is not coincidence that all these things are happening worldwide. The uproars of the people, the earthquakes, all right, the diseases, the race wars, the race riots, economies collapsing. People believing in this word, they're the Israelites, believing in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. This is not coincidence. It's not coincidence, that this transhumanism keeps getting pushed more and more and more. It's not a coincidence that World War III, all these things are happening at once. You see? All right? Right, we're doing some major work here. Let me keep reading. It says here, for the scripture saith, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. And these are all Israelites, mind you. That's a whole nother lesson within itself. But just to let you all know that this is all really talking about Israelites. Okay? For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushai, shall be saved. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So it's important to preach this word. It's important to keep going out there and on the line, teaching. It's important to make these videos. Our people need to hear this. You see? They need to hear this so they can believe. So they know the name of the Lord. So they know the true report. You see? All right? And it says, and how shall they preach except they be sent? Okay, and we already brought out that Isaiah 61. Hey, we were appointed to preach good tidings. You see? The Lord set this all up. And it says, and it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring tidings of good news. Bring glad tidings of good news, excuse me. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah said, Lord, who have believed our report? So then, faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahweh. Okay? You see? This is not a low-level task that we're doing. This is much needed. All right? So, hey, don't think that you're, useless in this truth, that you have no purpose. All right? Hey, you got to get that confidence in you, right? Confidence means what? With faith. You got to believe that you're a man of the Lord, and the Lord, the Lord set you up to preach. You really got to believe that. You really got to believe that you are a part of the 144,000. You got to have faith. See? But I just wanted to touch on that, so hopefully whoever was listening was edified and their spirit was boosted. And with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Also double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you brothers out there. Shalom.